welcome back to Girl on the Go DC. I'm Ronnie J, and today we are talking about solo travel. So it's something that I feel like is really taking off for a lot of single women because either one, you have no friends to travel with, or two, you don't have a significant other to travel with, three, your group of friends doesn't want to go the places that you want to go. But for whatever reason, like solo travel is like a huge thing now, especially for single women. So I'm one of those people who did not have friends who wanted to go the same places I want to go to. And I just wanted to get out there and experience things and I don't want to wait on other people to do that because you could spend your whole life waiting for someone else. But so I decided to take a solo trip. A solo trip out of the country, I'll say that. Let me add international solo trip. I've actually traveled solo a lot within the US for work, so I'm used to traveling alone, but the US feels safe. Like it's very known here. I'm also a US citizen, so I never really felt weird traveling alone in the US. But traveling out the country, however, is a bit different. As a single woman, I have safety concerns. You hear about human trafficking all the time, girls getting snatched. And when you don't speak the same language as the people around you, it's very easy for them to just have conversations and plot on doing whatever to you, following you home, robbing you, kidnapping you, whatever. And you never would know because you don't even speak the language. So that's one of my concerns. I feel like here in the US, even being here at home, I get unwanted attention sometimes. So how do you manage that in a foreign country where, you're a pretty girl and guys are looking at you and you just don't know what's going on. So that's my biggest concern with solo travel. And of course, when you're traveling, you can't even have pepper spray on you. I got that taken at the airport before, so don't travel with your pepper spray. But mine was cute and it was in a pink bottle and it looked like hand sanitizer, so I'm really surprised they knew it was pepper spray. Anyway, how I went about this trip was using Google Flights. I put in the dates I wanted to travel and I just saw what came up and I wanted a cheap flight. I think I wanted to spend less than $300, so I just put that in and decided to see what came up. And Toronto, Canada was an inexpensive flight during that time frame. So that was pretty much my selection process. I felt like Canada is right across the border. So even though it's out of the country, it doesn't feel like it's a good first step to dip my toe in the water for solo international travel. Also in Toronto, they speak English. Certain parts of Canada speak French, but the fact that there's no language barrier was a plus for me. The fact that it was close, I felt a little safer close to the US. And it just felt like a good way to start my solo international travel journey. So once I booked the flight to Toronto, I started to look on Groupon for different things to do in the city. And I found a lot on Groupon around Niagara Falls. So I decided to fly into Toronto and then stay the night there and take the bus to Niagara Falls because it just seemed like there was more to do surrounding the falls than the actual city of Toronto. But Toronto does have a lot to do. I just didn't know what to do. So I booked the Hilton Garden Inn Toronto downtown. I'm all about points, and like I said, I did a lot of traveling for work in the US, and so I've been a loyal Hilton Honors member for a while, so I wanted to get my points for using Hilton. So I booked a regular room, just, whatever was cheapest was what I wanted to get. To my surprise, when I arrived at the Hilton Garden Inn downtown, I had a king suite room with a jacuzzi, and it was just not what I was expecting because I literally went for whatever was the cheapest in downtown Toronto, that's a Hilton, and that's what it was. So I kind of lucked up with that. I also, that first night, I had made reservations at the CN Tower. The CN Tower is like the huge kind of Space Needle looking restaurant that you've seen like on Drake's album cover, how he's sitting on top of a building, like that's the CN Tower. It has a revolving restaurant, so the restaurant slowly spins as you sit and eat your dinner. And it's like an expensive dinner, and the food was not terrible, but the food was not like what I was expecting. So the CN Tower has a couple different experiences you can book. There's like different levels of observation decks, and you can pay like general admission to see those. But what I got, like with the dinner, by me eating at the restaurant, I was able to go up to the top and see the observation deck anyway. Excuse me. So for dinner, there's a prefix menu. It's around $65, and I believe it's 2 courses. I wasn't impressed. I remember the appetizer I had was like some type of ravioli. And then for my main dish, I believe I had cod. And it was all just like average at best. There was nothing spectacular, nothing stood out. The coolest part probably is, when you walk up to the CN Tower, there's this huge, like, the letters to spell Canada in lights. So because I went at night, it was dark and the letters were lit. And it was just like a cool little photo op to show like, hey, I'm in Canada. That was cool. And then the other part that I enjoyed was the actual ride up to the restaurant. So you get in this elevator, and as you're going, the person is like telling you about, how high you're going up and comparing it to other buildings and stuff like that. So just watching as you get higher and higher off the ground was pretty cool. So those were like my 2 favorite parts of the restaurant experience. The restaurant itself, like you just go to say that you did it, really. I could actually skip the restaurant. You could just really buy the experience of seeing the observation decks and probably be fine. The other part of the observation deck that's interesting is there's like a glass floor where you can see down to the street, and it's super freaky. Like, I was afraid to stand on it because it just like is a mind teaser thing. Like, you're gonna step on it and you're not gonna fall through, but just looking down and seeing how far up you are and actually walking on that. It's kind of like in like Chicago has the sky deck where you can like stand on the glass and look like you're out there just on nothing in the middle of the city. So the CN Tower has that, but it's just like a glass floor. So that was my experience, in Toronto. After that, I just went back to the hotel and enjoyed my jacuzzi and rested. So one thing to know about me as I talk about solo travel is that I am social and I have friends. However, I'm an introvert and I do enjoy time alone. And I am perfectly fine, like, with my own company most of the time. So staying in and like, I can truly enjoy that experience of being in a hotel room, relaxing. I don't have to be in the club. For me, just being in a new city, going to dinner, doing something nice, like, all of that was enough for me. So, and the next day I knew I'd be going to Niagara Falls. So let's jump to Niagara Falls. For Niagara Falls, I used Groupon to book the hotel. So I stayed at the Wyndham Gardens, Niagara Falls. And with that, by booking through Groupon, you get like a bunch of coupons to do different stuff. One of the coupons I got was, I believe it was $30 to the Keg Steakhouse. And the Keg is supposed to have like, how they advertise it is the best view of Niagara Falls. So I was like, oh yes, let me go to this steakhouse because it has the best view of the falls. I will get to that. Let's start with the Wyndham Gardens, Niagara Falls. So I get there, and like I said, I booked it through Groupon. I just got totally typical average room. But I get to my room and the toilet doesn't flush. So I called down to the front desk and they were like, just come down, we'll put you in a new room. So I go down and they give me another room. I don't think she told me, or I think she said maybe it's a suite or something. And I was like, oh, okay. But I get there and once again, I have a huge king size room with a jacuzzi in the room. So I was really excited about that because I was just booking literally the cheapest rooms I could find and somehow I got upgraded twice. So I enjoyed that part of my solo travel. That has never happened on regular travel. So, get to the room. I have this nice room now. And the lady told me, like, once you're up there, call down, let me know if everything's fine. I pick up the phone in the room and it's like disconnected. It doesn't work. And there was nowhere to plug it in. So I had to like go down and tell her like, yeah, the room's great. Phone doesn't work, however, but I don't plan on calling anybody, so it's cool. One more thing about solo travel and phones. I don't think I needed an international plan for Canada. I think Canada and Mexico, like with AT&T, you don't need an international plan. So I was fine with that, but I let my parents follow me on Find My Friends because I know they worry about me and like, I just want them to see where I was at, especially like if something does happen, you do want someone to know where you're at. So I let my parents follow me on Find My Friends. This is totally a sidebar story. So one night, I think it was that night, actually, the first night I got to Niagara Falls, I'm in bed and my phone rings at like 1 a.m. and it's my mom. Like I said, I'm already in bed. So I just go back to sleep. I ignored the call and back to sleep. Call again. And I'm like, what could she want at 1 a.m.? Like, this must be serious. So I pick up the phone and she's like, or actually it was my dad. So my dad is like, what's going on? Where are you? And I'm like, I'm in bed. What do you want? And so he was like, well, I'm looking at you on the map and it says you're at Papa John's. Even if I were at Papa John's at 1 a.m, that would not be totally crazy. I could have went out and now I needed pizza. Like, are you serious? Are you really calling me at 1 a.m. talking about the map says you're at Papa John's? So they were on punishment after that. I was like, you know what? The rest of this trip, don't call me. I will call you. You can still see where I'm at, but don't call me. So I had to put my parents on punishment because I don't have time. That night, I went to dinner at the Keg, which was the steakhouse they advertised and gave me the dinner certificate for $30 and said that it had the best views of the falls. So I was very excited about going to this restaurant and I got so disappointed with the Keg. So first you should know there are 2 kegs. I want to say I went to the wrong one first. So one is at the falls and one is not. The one that came up with my GPS was the one that was not. So that's where I went first. And then I Ubered to the real Keg that's at, not the real one, but the one I was trying to get to at the falls. So they do have a great view of the falls, but it's like one window and you can only see it if you're sitting at this one window. So I expected kind of like the CN Tower where there's a circular view or something and everyone has a good view. I don't know, but this was false advertising because I was like on a window that overlooked the parking lot. And the reason I came there was to see the falls. So I discovered the next day, I believe, that the restaurant that really has the best view of the falls and there's like not a bad seat in the house is called Elements. And it's actually at Niagara Falls. Like once you get to the falls, there's like an area you can go in and get tickets to certain things. There's shopping and there is Elements. The restaurant is there. So that is where I recommend you would go eat. I believe it's also a steakhouse. I can Google it, hold on. It looks like even though I was there less than a year ago, the name has changed to Table Rock House. So I'm going to recommend Table Rock House. And It doesn't say what kind of restaurant it is. Clearly nobody cares because you're like there to enjoy the falls. The other thing I did while in Niagara Falls is I took a tour behind the falls. With the tour behind the falls, you get to go behind Niagara Falls. So you're looking out through the water, basically. You're behind the water looking out, and you can see like the water coming down. It's kind of like a cave. You go underground, and they give you these ponchos to wear because it is wet down there. You may get wet because the water is literally right in front of you. So that was a good experience. I enjoyed going behind the falls. The falls was a good experience. So because I went to the falls in November, it was very cold, and like I didn't want to do a whole lot of walking around and be outdoors. But one of the other things I went to was a butterfly conservatory. That I actually enjoyed because it was just different. Like I'd never done it before. So you go in these rooms and like, well, first they have you watch a video about the butterflies. Then you actually go in and you're just like among a bunch of beautiful butterflies. And I mean, that was just different, you know? And it was something to do. Of course, I'm traveling solo, so I'm just looking for things to explore, new experiences, new foods, things like that. So that was something I did to kind of pass the time without being outside and to enjoy being in Niagara Falls. One night in Niagara Falls, I was catching an Uber back to the hotel, and I asked the Uber driver, like, where is there for me to go tonight? And he was like, no, there's nowhere to go. Like, the only place open would be the strip club. So this got me going down another little brain teaser tangent type of spiral. So in Canada, they don't have dollar bills the way we do in the US. They have dollar coins. And the same is true in Europe. The €1 is a coin, not an actual paper bill. So this was my first time like experiencing that, a coin for the $1 Canadian. And another thing I liked about Canada is that they don't have pennies. So they round everything to the nearest whole number. And I was like, that makes sense, because what do we do here in the US with pennies? Like, they just take up room in your wallet, change purse, whatever. You give them to kids, throw them in fountains. But like, pennies are super useless. We should just round everything to the nearest whole number. Okay, so back to the story. So my mind started wondering about like, how does the strip club work if it's just coins and you can't throw dollars to the ladies? So my first thing, I was like, they probably pass around a collection plate, like church. Like when the person's on stage, you pass around the plate, you enter your coins. Like you can't just pelt the stripper with the coins. There has to be a method to this. Then, I don't know. I felt like I was like, well, you have to tip them or pay them with bills. So you'd have to be throwing like 5s at the very least, right? Because I mean, there's nothing else you can throw. So I had to end up Googling this because I didn't know how the strip club operated. And what I discovered is the strippers in Canada, it's more like you pay for dances. So their whole goal is to get you to buy a dance from them. And it's not like the US where you're on stage and people are throwing money at you. It's more like, you know, I'm up here so you can buy a dance, and they're coming down into the audience, working the crowd, like getting you to buy dances. And I forgot how much a dance costs, but yeah, totally different experience in the Canadian strip club. I didn't actually go because like, I would feel out of place in the strip club. I'll say that much, especially by myself. If I was with my girls or somebody, like it would be a little different, but that's just as an introvert, it was not for me. Okay, with all that being said, here are my pros and cons of solo travel. keeping in mind that I am an introvert. So the pros I would say are you can do whatever you want, you're on your own schedule, and there's no one restricting you from just enjoying whatever it is you want to enjoy at that moment. The cons I would say are that number one, I get lost easily, so I like having someone with me to kind of let me know the direction we came from, especially so in Toronto, I went out for breakfast one morning and my phone was charged all night, just randomly died. So I had walked, but I still didn't really know how to get back to the hotel. So I had to stop in a Starbucks to charge my phone. And luckily, there was a Starbucks and I had my charger because, usually I travel with a portable charger, but because I was just running out for breakfast, I didn't think I would need it. I don't know why my phone randomly died, but that's one of the cons. If you get lost in the city, you're just on your own. Another aspect that I did not necessarily enjoy was eating dinner alone. I enjoy nice restaurants, I enjoy good food, I enjoy those experiences. However, I think they are a little better when you have someone to do it with, to talk to throughout dinner. It got a little boring. Yes. So for me, I don't prefer solo travel. I would do it again. I would do a solo trip again, but it is not my preference. If I can find someone to travel with, I would rather do that because I just think having that person to interact with and having someone to be there if you do get lost or that knows, having another perspective is always good too. Because you can say hey, I don't really want to do that. But then once you experience it, you're you know what, that was cool. And you never would have done it unless that person suggested. Overall, my first solo trip was a success. I did not get kidnapped. Nothing terrible happened to me. I wasn't robbed. Canada's super the US. I think it's it's pretty safe. I enjoyed that I did it. I feel I've checked that off the bucket list now, solo travel, done. But I can't say that it is for me. I know lots of people enjoy it. A lot of people are more social than me as well. So you could probably go out and what if I did go to the club? Maybe I would have met some people. Or what if I sat at the bar at the restaurant? I could have talked to strangers, but that's personally not my style and how I operate. I could do those things, but if it's my vacation, I want to enjoy it. That's a little, for me, I'm not going to enjoy that. I like to have fun with people I know, people I came with, and that's just my personal preference. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little bit about some things to do in Toronto and Niagara Falls. And I hope this has helped you make some decisions on your own solo travels that hopefully you will be going on. So don't forget, if you like this video, click the like button below and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys later. See ya.